with this, I'm going to turn this over to our Grand Secretary, Ray Link, who will then hand it over in unison, our Grand Treasurer, Jay Johnson. And Caroline, where are you?
Right back here.
She's up here, so here you go.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, great. I don't know what we did wrong to have Peter set us up. I always heard that the worst time to speak is right after lunch. So, anyway, that's all right, Peter. Thanks for letting us talk anyway. What we're going to deal with, or what I'm going to deal with today, and I'm going to try and do it rather quickly because it's an ongoing situation, is the annual report. Now, you have some handouts passed out this morning. First 2 pages are a letter of instructions, and I think they're fairly decently written to the point where there shouldn't be too many questions on that. The only thing on page 1, you have 2 little red lines, incorporation and insurance. Both need to be done via the code. It was already spoken about this morning about insurance, why you need it, and that's going to be discussed further, so I'll not dwell on that. Again, he's going to roll the page for me here. Okay, please note at the bottom of page 2, I'll read it. It is requested that all lodges comply with the 60-day February 28th deadline. Fines will be levied if the annual reports per capita check are not received in the Grand Lodge office by February 28th. I get 10 to 15 every year calling me about the 10th or 15th of March saying, we're going to be a little late because the secretary's been sick. Well, what I'm hoping is those of you, how many do we have here that are secretary or treasurers of their lodge? All right, not that many, great. Because, well, no, I want the rest of the members in these lodges to understand what this report is and how to fill it out. How many went to high school? All right, that's good because this is in basic English, adding, subtracting, multiplication, and division. Simple. There's not that much to it. The biggest thing is you need to keep your records up all year long. If you come into your lodge hall on the 3rd of January and you're going to gather all your slips and papers and everything else and try to, figure this out, it's like doing your taxes on April 14th. It's not going to get done in time. Please note, all items that need explanation, some of the line items you mark off have an explanation. It needs to be on a separate sheet of paper. And the most important part, please note, your lodge must file their own 990 form with the IRS and their own 199 form with the state of California. We've had recently a number of lodges that have lost their exemption because, for some reason, the lodge did fulfill either the 990 or the 190. And Jay will explain a little later how to get around that. And because if you're lucky, it's not that hard to get around, but I wouldn't suggest that you do it as a regular way of doing things.
I can go over it now. There's no way to get around it. Yeah, there is no way to get around it. And does this mic work too? This last year, Sovereign Grand Lodge came out with a letter to all the lodges that if you earn X amount of dollars or less, you could have them file for you. If you're already filing that 990 card on the internet, do it yourself, please. Otherwise, you won't be able to answer this question if it's been filed or not. So do it on your own. And if you do let Sovereign Grand Lodge go ahead and file it for you, don't forget that you have the California one to file. They both have to be filed together each year. So keep it in mind. There is no shortcut way around it. If you don't file them, your corporation will go in the wrong status. You won't be able to use it.
You can plead, the fact that you're old and didn't realize you needed to do it, but they may or may not buy that. Anyway, we're we're going to switch on, go now to the form itself. Okay? It's color coded. The one you get in the mail is not. But this is just for explanation purposes. And he's making it bigger. Okay, this is page 1. It's pretty self-explanatory. The only thing, there's a couple of new items this year. Under the newly elected incoming lodge officers, we want the name, the phone number, and the email address. If we need to find your regular address, we can look at the roster. You know, so we don't need you to duplicate your information there.
On the email addresses, for the email forwarding system that I set up, I can forward to 10 different email addresses. So, you know, I want to get it emailed to the secretary. I want to make sure your Noble Grand, Vice Grand gets a copy of whatever we email from Grand Lodge. But along that, if anybody else wants a copy, just let me know and I'll add you to that same grouping. I can do about 10.
Okay, on the left-hand side, meeting day and time, need to have that correct. We've got an awful lot of them that say, well, the journal has got the wrong meeting day and the wrong meeting time. Well, if you provide the right meeting date and time, we'll put it in the journal. Lodge email, if you have a lodge email, as opposed to an individual, please put that in there. Package delivery. If for some reason you order some goodies from Grand Lodge or whatever, UPS and FedEx will not deliver to a post office box. An awful lot of the lodges have post office boxes. Consequently, we will need some one of your members who's willing to accept a package delivery. Their name and address needs to be put in there. As we go further down, is your lodge incorporated? Again, that was on the letter. Yes is in red because by code, you're supposed to be incorporated. The next one down there is insurance, same thing. It is required by code, so it's been put in red this time. And then at the bottom of page 1, there's a little notation about this filled out and fully completed during the first weeks of January and fall, regular meeting in December, etc., etc. Secretary should keep a copy of this so that next year, when you're doing it, you've got some of the starting information for you already. Now we're going to get to the interesting pages.
While he's pulling up his page, we asked for this information because Sovereign asked us of the same information. In fact, they asked us for probably 10 times the amount of information than what you give us. And if we don't have the answers from you all, we can't answer honestly to Sovereign or IRS.
All right, page 2. This is where the mathematics starts. Every year, you should reconcile your checkbook. You know, maybe at the end of the year, your bank statement says you have $10,000. But in reality, you may have less because there might be a check or two out there that hasn't been cashed. What we're looking for is you reconcile the checkbook balance. And whatever you reconciled last year should be the beginning balance for this year. Makes sense, okay? Then if you go down all of the dues, fees, rentals, investments, and all of the revenues, you'll see a little red line there says total revenues only. It's total revenues only. Don't add the beginning balance into that and put a number there. I'm not looking for the subtotal. I'm just looking for the amount of revenue. If you go further down the page, same thing with the expenses. You get down there, just put the total amount of expenses in there. And then you take your beginning balance, you add your receipts, subtract your expenses, and you reconcile your checkbook balance. Down there you see the little green form. Now that green amount goes on line number 4 on the right hand side. You can see the green up there, and that's there for a reason, because that's your Lodge checking account number 1. A lot of lodges have more than one checking account. Those can be listed separately. They don't need to be added together and the total put in there. Value of lodge, hall, cemetery, and other property. The easiest way to do that is to take it off your property tax bill. It's all figured out for you. You don't have to go out and get somebody to let you know what your property is worth. Okay, let's go to number 3. Do we have any questions on this page? You got a question on the first page?
That paper just that, yes. Tom Martin from San Francisco, we are the auto building on Market Street, but our lodge is also a part of the whole association. We have shares in that, so does that mean?
Okay, the question is, he's from the San Francisco lodges. They don't necessarily have ownership of the property. They have shares in the hall association. So what you do is you put your number of shares, and I believe they're valued at $10 a piece. Correct me if I'm wrong. And you put that amount in that top line. All right, answer your question? Thank you. You're welcome.
Still on, right?
Okay, now we're going to go to page 3. These have different colors. Okay, at the top you'll see all members. It's the total membership of your lodge, your roster. That, line A, the numbers will be put in there by me for you, because that is the membership numbers you had at the end of last year's report. Line B, this is for new members that you get during the year, males, females, etc. Line C is for members you lost during the year, males, females, total. Line D, in yellow, that is your new number of members, all your members, okay? You don't pay dues on that number unless you do not have any associates or any non-contributing members. The next two little accumulation of numbers is for figuring out your non-contributing members and your associate members. You do not pay per capita on those. So if you have 20 members, but you have 5 associate members, you're only paying per capita on 15 members. We get a lot of confusion with that, and sometimes they're only off one number, so we send them a letter thanking them for their contribution. But if they're one number less, we send them a letter saying you owe us. Total number of dues paying members is line M. Past grands. We would appreciate if your lodge would put in the number of men or brothers, sisters, and past grands. Okay, now that you've gotten the number of dues paying members, on these line items N, O, P, Q, R, and T, that number goes in there and you multiply it times the amount column. So let's say you end up with 15 members at $15.50, you would put that into the right-hand total. Okay? And you go on down. Now, once you get to the bottom, and we have line T, that's kind of an accumulation of what you just did on the top. 15 times the 45 would X number total. It should be the same if you added them down. This way it's kind of a little check and balance to make sure. The blue one, new initiated members. You might have had 5 or 6 new members, but you only initiated 2. 2 is what you pay $10 a piece on, not just the new members. It's the newly initiated members. And then further down we have payment options. For those lodges that don't want to hear from Grand Lodge anymore or have a lot of money, You can pay the full amount in January. And for those of you who may not have enough money to do that, you can pay half in January and half in June, or July, excuse me. The Grand Treasurer would be more than happy to send you an invoice.
Plus late fees.
Okay, page 4 is pretty straightforward. You've got space for, I believe it's 15 new members that you may add. You will fill in the information that's required. A little further down, you got members deducted. Same thing, 15 spots for those that are deducted, and filling in the information. Now we get down to the bottom where it says associate members. To have an associate member, that person must have a home lodge. So you need to verify from the home lodge that they are in fact in good standing. And then you would put their home lodge number in there to let us know. On the non-contributing members, the last column says date of action. To be declared a non-contributing member, action must be taken at the lodge level. Must be made a motion, seconded, voted upon, and okayed. That date of action should be in there. That verifies to us that, in fact, you went through the regular process. Non-contributing member. I believe in the code, if you're drawing from memory, 70 years of age and over 50 years of membership or something like that, or in fact, in some cases, if you have a person who is having some financial problems and meets that clarification or that qualification, you come to the lodge and ask for to be non-contributing. These folks down here, you don't pay per capita on them. So if you give them non-contributing status, you're not hurting yourself, you're only helping them. Okay, PG 5, page 5. On the left-hand column, you see some red space there. It's got a little number sign that on page 5, it goes 1 through 35. If you have over 35 members, you go to page 6, which is 36 and above. The second one says M, that's for males. The next one says F, that's for females. The D is what degree are these members in your lodge? First, second, initiatory, first, second, third. The AS may not be what you think it is. It stands for associated. And then the NC is non-contributed. And the PG is past grants. And that's the same on 5 and 6. And that information is important to us because we also need the initiated date for these folks. As it was described earlier by Nancy Johnson, we're keeping an active database on all of our members. And when people call up and say, well, I think I've been a member for 25 years, I want a jewel. Okay, we'll do the research. We'll send the lodge a form to fill out. And if they have the 25 years that we can verify in our database, then you're fine. But if your lodge hasn't sent in all the information, it makes it difficult for us to verify this sort of information. So here again, that's the annual report. It's quick, easy, and it just takes a little bit of pre-work throughout the year. And don't be afraid of it. It won't bite. The only thing that will bite is if you call me and tell me, I can't get it in on time. Then there might be a bite. But other than that, anybody have any questions real quick on the...
I got comments too.
Is this on an Excel spreadsheet and is it fillable? Can we find this thing on the
It will be on our webpage next week. I can send you, if you request, it will also be on the webpage next week. An Excel spreadsheet for pages 2 and 3, which have formulas built into it. But it also has a worksheet down the middle of the page. So what you can use that for is a worksheet. So you can do all your calculations on there and then put it into the regular form that was sent to your lodge.
Well, I'm the one that used the membership roster mainly. And what I rely on that for is to get you the Odd Fellow magazine. So if persons are not getting the magazines, you need to contact me. Generally what I'll do is I won't rely on this roster because normally it's just a copy of an old one that has expired. So we'll make some phone calls. We'll either call the secretary or we'll call the actual person and verify the address. We used to have like 100 kickbacks of magazines that weren't getting delivered. This last one we were down to about 6. So, but for a good bulk of them is because I dropped them off the list. So if you have members that aren't getting it, fill in the little address change and get it into us and I'll update it.
Okay, is there any more questions on the annual report itself? Okay, I'm going to turn you over to Jay. This is the Jay and Ray show. We're not a comedy team, even though some people think we're a joke. Oh, he's changed into a her.
Here, I'll take yours.
As a J, don't I look good? How many Rebeccas are here that are secretaries or treasurers of their lodges? Okay, the information that you just received is basically how I have done our side of it, so we can coincide if we ever do this again. But Jay, I want to stress to you Rebeccas that are here and you go to your lodges, please, on your reports, put the corrected actual dates in. We are doing a database on our side as well, and like Nancy said, it's very frustrating when I'm going back trying to find the dates and I can't read who's J.E. Williams or C.J. I have no idea how to put it in or what date they were initiated. So that would be very helpful if you could do that for me, is to get your input on your sheets exactly like Ray said, because ours are the same. I really appreciate all your help in that matter. And the Rebeccas, if you can, go back to your lodges. We are initiating a database, and it will be very helpful if at one time you could bring your membership roster to me, the old one, so I can put it in the database so the members are there, because I do get calls, and I'm having a great time looking for these people. Thank you.